Okay, well, there has been, man, it's just hard and weird times to be living in, especially like right now. I know where these feelings are coming from is like fear of differences, because I, especially like in my jujitsu community, like I have Muslim brothers that I've trained with for years, and I hate to think that my support that I'll always have for Israel will ever be misunderstood as a hatred for them, because I'm actually in a place right now of like wanting to hear like Gaza's side. Like I never realized that they were, I need to hear more from people that actually know, like boots on the ground and multiple sources, because you cannot trust the media. Like it's so hard to know like what's what and what is really the truth. And from my experience, especially like Flint taught me that the only way you know what's real, what's what, is to get there and to do it and to see it and to share it yourself, because there's an agenda in every level, high, low. And what I didn't expect was to get caught up in that agenda of politics, of greed, of corporate, of power in high places. And I was just merely a person that cared and got so deep in the trenches that I got caught up in the real storm of everything that was happening in the background that people don't see, of the face of the truth. So like the face was the Flint water crisis. All of the background stuff was what people don't see. And so I understand that the media lies and they twist and they contort and they, I've worked with people in Flint, somebody that I know, if this person watches this video, they can say who they are, but I won't even gender. This person was like, I once worked for CNN and went out and would be the person behind the camera, see firsthand the truth, only to deliver the video footage to CNN to have what they saw was the truth be twisted. So they would take they would make the good guys the bad guys, the bad guys the good guys, truth, distort it. And this person was like, forget it. Like, I'm done. Like, I see what's happening. And made their own. This is the only time I will ever like go with like the they, them, da, because it's concealing an identity of, I'm trying to respect this person. But so that happened. And it's important to be aware. It's important to be aware of like what is going on in the background of things. And not all the time will things be shared. I understand though that people have different calls, purposes, experiences, and not everybody is meant to understand mine. And I have lived with peace for, I don't know, a few years. Like, my mom was dying of cancer, and I had to help with that, and I didn't have to, but I wanted to because I love my mom. But as family, like, you're obligated. Like, that is your family. You better step up and step in and help. And that's kind of like what I believe. So there were some years of being totally hammered down with taking care of loved ones that are sick and dying and all this stuff, so talking about my truth now, I guess, because it's getting more real, and I felt the need to, because weird things are happening in my corner, and I know that God has always called me to a different place, and my story has always been important, because I've noticed that I've been drawn to people in my life. I can name troves of people that I have been drawn to, that I seek counsel from, or I respect them, or I'll heed their advice because I respect them, and so I can understand how that works. And I believe that I am also in a position where God has positioned me to have an understanding and to have certain experiences and things like this. And sometimes they're not always easy, and they're misunderstood, and people think you're crazy. And it's like, whoa, how do I explain to people that this is just something that's been brought to me? I'm not trying to have these experiences that make me sound crazy. I'm just telling my truth. And the only way to do that is to just keep being authentic, and maybe one day they'll think and believe you, you're not actually crazy. Maybe there's really some validity to this person's experiences. So more and more in this day, I think more people are understanding this, because in the Bible, God talks about pouring his spirit out upon mankind, and even children will have dreams and will prophesy and all of these things, and it'll become pretty much undeniable where God is the supernatural, both good and bad, will pour itself onto man. And depending on who you believe in and who you call your savior, you will be filled with. And so there's an empty void, and if it's Jesus, it's Christ, and if it's not Christ, it's the devil. And call it what you will, call it all kinds of different awesome new age things that are really sounding like they're accepting and open to all kinds of everything. It's not true. The devil is a liar, and it has deceived you, and the only way to peace and salvation and goodness is through Christ. Period. Everything else is a lie. I promise. And that's coming from somebody who has walked different walks and understands the lie that you believe. But I think a lot of people might not believe me is because I've been a struggling believer. And it's people want, prove it then. Prove it. I do feel, though, I can prove it, because his goodness always brings me back. And I never run too far. Just far enough where he's but it doesn't matter. Because no matter how far I run, he's always going to come running after me. Because that's who God is. He loves us so much. And we don't deserve it. Not one bit. We don't deserve it. But we're his creation. And he looks at us like with love and a longing to have a relationship with us. Even when you hate him, even when you don't know him, even when you say wrong things about him, because you don't know better, because you've been lied to and deceived. That's God. He loves us. And this world is fading. It's passing away. And you know that. You know that. I don't have to say anything to prove it. But we have an opportunity to come into a relationship and a safeguarding of our Father, the Creator of the universe, the one who made everything that you believe in, that you love, all of everything that you believe is beautiful and worthy and lovely and pure, all of that, that's him. But everything that's bad isn't him. It's the choice he gave. And that's the devil. And he never imprisoned anybody to him. He gave you a right. Just as Adam and Eve. And just as we have a decision and a right to choose to follow him. And so that's what we see is the evil in this world. When Eve ate from the apple, because she was convinced by the serpent in the Garden of Eden, and she already took the bite from the apple and convinced Adam, and she was first cursed. Then Adam. And the serpent continued on. In whatever form he might take, to disguise and to hide himself from us, just as he did from Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. He disguised himself as a serpent all-knowing. He lied to you, he said to Eve. God lied to you, because he knows if you eat from the apple of this tree, you will have all knowledge. You will know the truth. It will not kill you. It did. Killed her. Killed us. All of us women. It killed what God had planned. The purity. The covenant. It was broken through her disobedience to God. The one who had created her. Her life was supposed to be perfect. Beautiful. No pain, no suffering. But she chose to disobey God and to not trust him in the garden that he had created for her and Adam. She didn't trust him, and she believed the serpent instead when he said, God is lying to you, because he knows that if you eat from this apple, you will have all wisdom and you will become wiser than him. And so they ate from the apple. She ate from the apple and didn't believe that it was death. And so birth pains, death, sickness, strife, anxiety, depression, hormone fluctuations, every problem you can imagine came because of Adam and Eve. Eve. This is why I have friends mostly that are men, because you can't trust these women out here. clearly, from the beginning of time, Eve proved it. You can't trust these women. But that's what happened. And so we are in a pivotal position where it's not just about women and men. It's like, who is your savior? Women and men alike. Because we're living in the end times, and the trumpet does not have a gender dysphoria. When Jesus comes down in all of his glory from the sky on his white horse, and we hear the trumpet, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or man. It doesn't matter at all. We have to be right before the Lord, because he's coming and he's looking at our hearts and what's in here, what other people cannot see. He can see our thoughts and our hearts and our motives and all of this. And that's what he is coming to judge. So it's exciting, and it's also scary, because it's like, get ready, because here comes our Savior.